what is our patent level? How many innovations are Nigerians patenting in a year? You look at it, it's almost zero. Very low compared to the rest of the world. Now, that tells us, are we future-proofing our systems? So let's forget about the macroeconomics. I'm going to go back to that, because this is very critical. When people talk about diversifying the economy, the economy is, by the way, the economy is already diversified, highly diversified. Perhaps we don't have the high-tech sector. Of course, we can't have the high-tech sector when we haven't gotten the infrastructure of the second industrial revolution. How do you were earlier talking about power here, and Madam was almost shedding tears. And then you want to have the infrastructure of the fourth industrial revolution. When you are struggling with second industrial revolution, the world is in the fourth industrial revolution. And then you have this kind of budget. And then you have all this kind of politicking over this budget. We are talking about the fourth industrial revolution. Now, my students came to my office yesterday. Some of them are worried where they're going to do their internship, because companies are no longer accepting internship because of the macroeconomic condition in the country. Right? So everybody's worried. I am also worried. Okay? And then we are looking at where do we go from here? And then we are here discussing all these things. So, California Institute of Technology is driving growth. And that is what we want to see the universities do. Everywhere in the world, go to Malaysia, it's the same thing. Now you go to universities, you get endowed chairs paid for by companies. The same thing you see in a place like Lagos Business Schools, because the infrastructure we have there donated by companies who see the value of what the school does. But do you see that in the universities? Now, what is happening? They depend solely on government, on handout from government. And that is not, it doesn't create the incentive to be competitive. Okay? They are not competitive. I was saying earlier, where do the lecturers, where do we publish our work? If we do good work, we will make it to the top journals in the world. Now, what qualifies people to be professors in some Nigerian universities are some predatory publications, sometimes self-publications. Not peer-reviewed, no quality, nobody citing them. We had the time we produced people like Wole Soyinka, okay, Chino Achabe, and if you go to political economists, people still talk about Cloud K today. Professor Anya Oanya, if you go to journal Science, Nature, they publish there. And then we have that quality. So what happened to that? So, this is a very serious problem. While we're talking about the government, we have to look internally into the universities themselves.
Okay.
Okay. We don't have too much time. You mentioned that the recurrent was 70%. I mean, we talk about this every single year when the budget comes out, about the capital being so small and the recurrent being so huge. We have arrived there yet again.
As I said, I think the way they are seeing budgets, I feel is not the way. I think the first thing we should do is our perception. Every government feels, okay, let me just achieve whatever I can achieve within 4 years, so that when I come back again, I'll tell them I did this, and they vote for me again. So let me give them what they want, and whether the economy grows or it doesn't grow, I'm less concerned. Let me just give the masses. Let me just do the normal thing as everybody's been doing it. Okay, if it is always
window dressing.
Window dressing. Do you understand? Let me just give them what they want, and tell them this. They come 2019, they vote for me again, and that person come do the same thing. When do we want to have? For instance, look at the National Economic Growth Plan. Economic Growth Plan under the National Ministry of Budget. They are saying one of their objectives is innovative training. Do you understand? So we are saying, if you are talking about innovative training, and you are still looking at, you are still doing this type of budget that we are doing right now, how do we move ahead? Do you understand? There are so many theories in economic development. I read economics in the university anyway, and even currently on my PhD. We said they have to have different economic theories, but there is one actually caught my attention. That's one by Schumpeter, which is called the business cycle development theory. And what he's saying, and that's what American economy is actually using, that the development is based on the quality that you have in your citizen. That is the economy itself will be driven by entrepreneurs. Develop entrepreneurs, then the economy itself will develop. It's a very long one. I can't go into the details right now, because
but we don't seem to believe in that.
We don't seem to believe in it. That's why we continue giving the making current expenditure higher than capital expenditure. See, and the problem actually, the fund is not there. But how would the fund there when the source of the fund is being affected? So if you don't go to the source, make it elaborate, make it independent, educate them, empower them. When I say empowerment, it doesn't mean giving them money. It means increasing what they have upstairs. And the funny thing in Nigeria, Nigerians, we have the quality, we have the mental capability. Just give us the right, just tell us this is the right way. That's why even in our second standard, maybe we should just bring back the second standard of Nigeria national anthem. It said, help our youth the truth to know. That there's truth, there's a truth somewhere that they are not telling us. There's something somewhere that we should know. Seriously, and the most serious is, and if you look at it now, in when we are singing national anthem, we sing in the first standard, the second one is not is out of place. So that's to tell you. And if you look at the second standard, it's actually a prayer. Oh God of our creation, you know, if you look, oh God of creation, direct our noble cause. That's to tell you, even as a nation, we have a noble cause. Are we on the path towards that noble cause? Before now, all African countries used to, you know, in 1992, I guess, when I think Bush was contesting, I can't remember the year actually, he said, let Nigeria handle Africa, then I will handle the rest of the world. That's to tell even the Americans believe in Nigeria as a nation. They want the best from us. We have a noble cause. But are we on the path towards that noble cause? Now, we are looking at budgets. Let's come back to budget now. Budget is not even the only instrument we need to get out of recession, to even go on the path of economic recovery and then growth. What about we are looking at the economic policies. What are the policies we have in place to even support the so-called budget? The Ministry of Works announcing that has $553.7 billion. Is it that money? Is it just to build? Is it to build houses? When we have nothing less than 10 billion for us to meet the infrastructural gap that we have in Nigeria over the next 10 years. We should be spending nothing less than $10 billion on a yearly basis for the next 10 years. Convert that figure to dollar. What do we have? Do you understand?
Less.
Yeah, let me come in there. You know, the thing about the current budget, yes, I agree with you that the current budget is very large, and also that signals the size of government. But at the same time, you realize that part of the current budget addresses capital issues like human capital. You know, health, education. I mean, people have to be paid salaries. And then from the salaries, they have to pay school fees, which is capital investment. And then they have to also procure health, which is also human capital investment. So that is essential. So if you pull out that component from the recurrent expenditure and add it to the capital budget, so it's actually huge. So I have no problem with that. The recurrent budget can actually be huge if you're paying salaries. But what we need to talk about is when government has become too big. Okay, instead of government doing the job of regulating the economy, they are now becoming like what they call the government as Leviathan, so becoming too big. So that is what we need to worry about. But on the current expenditure, I think part of it goes into capital, because it's used to build human capital, used to procure health, and this is very, very important. Yes.
Says, I was going to read out what he was saying about education, where he talked about most Nigerians studying abroad actually carry out their researches on Nigeria. And he now said most of the research outputs from Nigerian researchers are not called upon or even considered in the running and the planning of the country. Now, somebody else says, I09 says, I asked them what they really need in an employee, asking a graduate after years of study to go for one expensive training in order to get a job is bad. But see this person says, I asked a lecturer why we don't want to change our syllabus, and he says most of the lecturers do not want to lose their jobs. So it's not just about the government, it's also about the people in the institutions not wanting to move forward. But I'm looking at all the figures, the breakdown of the figures, the budget, and what you said now, I feel like, shall we just focus on education? But then there are other parts of the Nigerian society.
It seems to be the bedrock.
The bedrock of it. So how do we get out of this place where we are? Maybe a lot of things you studied up. How do we get out of this point where we can't seem to plan, I say we can't seem to, and implement what we plan effectively in line with our resources. Is the cloth too big or too small for us to make the cloth?
Okay.